You know, what we do is truly a mini art. Hello and welcome, dear skilled modelers, to my small hobby YouTube channel. My name is Toma, and today we're going to be looking at one of the most iconic cars of the 30s and 40s. BAM! This is the most iconic car of the 1930s, 40s, and even 50s. However, when you look at this car, you think 30s, 40s, Germany, Nazis? This car is insanely detailed for a small size. It has 265 parts, of which 212 are plastic parts, 40 are photo etch parts, and 13 are clear parts. And the most amazing thing is that you can actually make brake lines from photo etch parts included in the kit. The kit also allows you to make 13 paint schemes for this particular model, and it has decals to support. My only complaint with this kit is that the decals, although varied, do not have full markings for the decals. What I mean by that, there is no swastika. Get over it, guys. It's been like 70 plus years. I know this is a very sensitive topic for some people, but in my opinion, it was a part of our history. I don't say that it should be embraced, but it does place the car in a specific historical place and time. Again, when you look at the car, you think of 30s and 40s. You think about Germany. Before we dive into the box, let me give you some information on the car. The Model 170V made its public debut in February of 1936. Between 1936 and 1939, it was Mercedes' top-selling model. Between 1936 and 1942, over 75,000 were built, making it far the most popular Mercedes-Benz model up to that point. After Allied bombing during World War II, enough of the tooling survived for it to survive as a foundation upon which the company could rebuild. By 1947, the Model 170V had resumed its place as Mercedes' top seller, a position which it held until 1953. The V in the 170V's name was an abbreviation from a German word, "vorn", meaning front, added to differentiate it from the contemporary rear-engined Mercedes-Benz 170H, or Heck in German, which means rear. The car essentially uses the same 4-cylinder 1.6-liter engine, but it was positioned in the back of the car. Most of the cars produced, an even higher proportion of those that survived, were 2- or 4-door limousine cars, but the range of different body types offered in the 1930s for the 170V was unusually broad. A 4-door cabriolet limousine combined with the 4 doors of the 4-door limousine with a full-length fold-away canvas roof. Both of the 4-door bodies were very well adapted for taxi work, with large luggage racks at the back. There was also a 2-door 2-seater Cabriolet A and a 2-door 4-seater Cabriolet B with luggage storage behind the seats. A common feature of the 170V bodies was an external storage for the spare wheel on the car's rear panel. The 2-seater Roadster featured a large flap behind the 2 seats with a thinly upholstered rear partition, and which could be used either as a substantial luggage platform or as an additional uncomfortable bench for the mother-in-law seat. So this is the box with the lovely box art on front. You can see the little cringing lady in the front of the car, as well as the airplane on the back. It is like this on this side, it is like this on this side, it is like this on this side, and it's like this on this side. Okay, so when we open the box, we are greeted with, of course, the contents. And you notice the manual is missing. The manual is on the bottom because I took it out, but I'll show you the manual as well. Everything is in its one solid piece of plastic packaging. So this actually is inside this case, but I opened it up so you know it's outside. And yeah, let us just look at the contents, shall we? And we'll start with the box. The first thing is this little box, and in this box is the little plastic body. I didn't take it out of its bag because it's really not necessary, but it's just the main body of the car. Very nicely detailed, molded. There are hardly any flash lines except for this little stub at the back, which you have to attend to, but it's not a big deal. The decals photo etch and clear parts are in one small bag. Of course, I didn't open that as well because it doesn't have to be, but you'll see the close-up shots in the corner. Okay, so like I said, 40 photo etch parts, which is insane. And the clear parts are also very nicely presented and also very sharp, clear, you know, sexy as hell. And the decals on the front, like I mentioned, there are 11 variants for this particular model with different license plates depending on where the car is. And you can see, you know, the German insignia, the German eagle without the swastika in the middle. Then we have the two sprues that contain the wheel assembly as well as the seats and the back boot, actually the external boot where, you know, the luggage compartment, I guess, would be, and some handles and stuff, as well as the brakes. These are the little brakes, and then of course each individual wheel is comprised of 4 pieces. I don't really know why they chose to do this, but I'm guessing it's because the model does not move. It doesn't have polycaps on them, and I think they are able to preserve more detail as if they were just making a rubber tire. But that just means that the part count of plastic parts is much greater, but it doesn't really bother me at all. These 2 sprues are identical. Of course, we have, you know, 4 sets of wheels along with hubs and some brakes. And on this side we have the assembly for the chairs, or the seats, sorry, for the car. Next we have the carnet sprue that contains the figure. The figure itself is really nothing wow, but anybody who likes a nice figure to make, this is going to be a treat for them as well. It does look like kind of, you know, ghastly because you have like women's legs on one side and then 2 arms and, you know, skirt and the body and the head. It just looks like something from American Psycho. Yeah, but you know, the model is nicely detailed, so I think it will be enjoyable to build. This sprue again contains a wheel, which is the spare wheel that goes on the back of the car, and is, you know, again with the hub and the wheel and the brake, which I don't know why they have the brake, but I guess it's supposed to be there. So this is the part of the sprue that contains the doors and the inner door lining. The car itself is pretty smooth because it's very aerodynamic. However, you do have a lot of detail on the car because you have these little hinges that stick out. Maybe you can see them in the close-up shots anyway. But there are little hinges, and the door lining has a little bag on the side of the car, the side of the door. Pretty well molded, I must say. Nice sharp lines, no flashing whatsoever. This is probably going to be a very joyful thing to build. This sprue is the most delicate sprue, and it's covered by this little foamy thingy. And it houses all the little small pieces that go into the car or onto the car. You have the engine here, you have the fuel tank, the springs, you know, the various bits and bobs that go all over the car, and they're very delicate, very small. All of them are pristinely molded except for this little radiator fan, which has a little bit of flashing going on the edges. But again, I think that shouldn't be a very big problem. You can just scrape it off gently with a knife or a little small file, and it will be just fine. Moving along to the last sprue. The very last sprue contains all the exterior parts as well as some interior stuff, but minor stuff. You have the chassis here, you have the engine covers here, you have the dashboards, you have, you know, the bottom portion of the car, the seats, the front grille, the steering wheel and the steering column, I think, the gear shift, the exhaust pipe, all the little things which are pristinely and very well molded. You don't have almost any flashing, and what flashing there is, they're like very delicate, like these little things on the sides here. They're very, very fragile. You can just kind of pick them off with a pick, and it just fall off. So it's really not a very big deal. This is a phenomenal thing, very delicate. So that is basically it. Those are all the sprues in the box. Now I'll show you the manual, and then we are done. And that, ladies and gentlemen, just about wraps up the whole thing. Thank you so much for watching. If you have been, please like, comment, and subscribe. And if you like this video, watch more. Thank you, and I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.